Mariners win 4-2 to improve to 24-20 on the season, and they take 2 of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. Let's go over the scoring plays. In the second inning, Luis Urias grounds into a fielder's choice. Frazier makes an error. It scores a run, 1-0 at the end of 2. Fourth inning, the Mariners double that lead with a Ty France homer to left center, 2-0 at the end of 4. Kansas City finally gets on the board in the sixth. Bobby Witt Jr. hits a sacrifice fly, 1-2. Mariners get that run back in the seventh with a Josh Rojas single to left to score Dom Canzone, 3-1. Eighth inning, Kansas City scores a run that this inning frustrated me. We'll talk about it in a second. Bobby Witt Jr. grounds out to second to score for Mean, 3-2. But Luke Raley stays hot, singles to right to score Rivas. Raley gets thrown out, stretching that play to second base, 4-2. Andre Munoz able to overcome a couple of jams, one in the eighth, one in the ninth. We'll talk about that as well. 4-2, Mariners get the win. Real quick, some of you have pointed out that it looks real dark in here. A light went out. I don't have time to fix it. Sorry. I know a lot of you aren't watching this. In fact, all of you are not watching this for the beauty of these videos. They don't even record in 1080p. A lot of times they don't even record in 720p. It is what it is. And you're probably here more for audio purposes, to be completely honest. As good looking as I am, you're probably here for the audio. Let's talk about the negatives of this game. I think the most obvious is this bullpen. I am very worried. Having to use Austin Voth in that situation. No, absolutely not. They have got to go get relievers, and I am saying plural. Austin Voth cannot be a high leverage reliever for this team. He can't. He can't. Got to go get guys. The main reason you got to go get guys is that, obvious point that I don't trust any of these guys in high leverage situations. The other thing is the one guy I do trust, his arm's going to fall off. There's just been way too many 4 and 5 out saves for Andre Munoz. You have to keep that guy healthy. It's very hard to keep him healthy if he has to pitch this much and for this long. Can't do it. You can't do it. You have to go fix this bullpen. Or rather, you have to close the gap. What's the word I was looking for there? Not gap. You have to close the tear before it all falls apart. You have to be proactive here. You see the makings of how this can all tumble down. Don't wait for it to tumble down and then go get something. Fix it. Be proactive. Fix this bullpen before the leaking really happens. Offensively, any real negatives? Bottom of the order wasn't great. 1 for 8. Congratulations to Dom Canzone on coming back. Does get a hit and scores a run, which is, obviously nice to see. You also see that the swing and miss is going to be a problem for him. It's going to be a problem for him. Julio gets caught stealing and picked off. The caught stealings, okay. This is one that I'm kind of struggling with a little bit because, yes, it is technically an error on Julio, but it's not really a mental gaffe. It's a physical gaffe. And I think he's still working on how to do this without diving headfirst. The easiest way not to get caught is to dive headfirst. The easiest way to end up missing 4 to 6 weeks with a broken wrist, or much more than that, is to dive headfirst. So you got to keep him healthy, but you also want him to use the wheels. But he's got to cut down those. It ends up not costing him too much tonight. In fact, not at all. They end up winning the game. But they're mistakes that are avoidable. I think they're mistakes that will not be as prevalent as we get into the summer months. Or at least I hope so. I'm sure hoping that this is not something that carries over. But, and we'll talk about him in the positive section too. But first, I want to talk about Simply Seattle, the very best in Seattle sports gear. Great stuff for the Mariners, Seahawks, Huskies, Kraken, Storm, Sounders. You can find it all at Simply Seattle. Once you find everything you're looking for, use code MOLLYWOP15, MOLLYWHOP15. It's an awesome deal from awesome people. If you can't remember that, and I understand, there is a link in the description to take you to the website, and you can just copy and paste MOLLYWOP15 to save 15% off your order. All right, the positives in this game. So first of all, Bryan Woo. I thought he pitched pretty darn well. And I think the line was probably better than he actually pitched. But you'll take these results and you'll take even the process of this. He's a tough guy to tell with command because there's so much movement on his offerings. And I don't know if Big Dumper or when Zavala is catching him, if we can entirely trust that's where they want that pitch to go. Now, it's not Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is really tough to tell because they just set up down the middle and you rely on your backstop to get that job done. But this is not the Greg Maddux strategy either of just setting up wherever and knowing that the pitch is going to go into that spot. It's somewhere in between. So there are times where it looks like Woo is missing his spots, but maybe he isn't. Hopefully that makes some sense. That being said, there was a lot of middle today, a lot of it. And he can get away with it more than a lot of pitchers, just like Bryce Miller, because they generate so much movement on their pitches. There is so much spin on that fastball that it's difficult to not only score up, just to hit the baseball. You saw Bobby Witt Jr. swing through one. Bobby Witt Jr. is pretty darn good. And it was down the middle of the plate. So is that luck? A little. Is it a bad pitch, though? No, I don't think so. I don't think so because he is generating so much spin with that fastball. Command was okay. And again, I don't know. I'll just be honest with you. It's tough to tell with Woo. Control was great. Slider looked really good. You could tell Kansas City was not prepared for that whatsoever. He did a nice job. And if you get these results, it's great that he looks good doing it, but especially the result from your fifth starter, you're going to win a lot of baseball games. You're going to win a lot of baseball games. This rotation is special. That is one of the most talented fifth starters that I've seen in a long time. They have a chance to be really, really good if they can score enough runs and if the bullpen can hold those leads. But yeah, he did a nice job. Spire did a nice job avoiding the jam. Ryan Stanek only needed 8 pitches to get out of his inning. That was nice to see. And then Andre Munoz, he does have a little bit of a pickle in the 9th inning. Not a literal pickle, but not a literal pickle is kind of a weird thing to say because a literal pickle would be an actual pickle. And why do we call cucumbers pickles that have been pickled? Why don't we call them pickled cucumbers? It's weird, isn't it? Were they first? I don't think so. This is a long-going bit for me, but it is weird. Anyway, he gets out of his jam. Why do we call him? He does have some traffic, and he's able to get out of that traffic because his swing and miss stuff is just as good as it gets. I just want to see him pitch less, which is a weird thing to say. I would love to see Andre Munoz for 162 games if that was a way. If there was a way to do that and keep him healthy in the long term and the short term, but you can't do that, right? His stuff is so good. There are some really good relievers right now. I don't think Clay Holmes has given up an earned run yet, but he's a top 5 closer, a top 5 just overall reliever in baseball. And think of how much trouble the Mariners would be in without him. Actually, don't. Stay positive. Stay positive and just be thankful that Andre Munoz is a Seattle Mariner. Offensively, big hit from Rojas to get that run home. Julio does get the 2 hits. He clearly sees the ball well against Alec Marsh. Haniger reaches twice, which after reaching 4 times yesterday was great to see. They need him to get going. Ty France blisters a homer. The other at-bats weren't so great. You hit a homer, I won't focus on that too much. They do get Canzone back. Luke Raley just looks phenomenal and needs to hit higher. He needs to hit higher in the lineup right now. I would probably hit him 3rd. I know the Mariners are a patient process group, but Luke Raley's hitting as well, if not better than anybody right now. And in the month of May, he's been spectacular. It's kind of a waste to have him hit sixth. And I'll be honest with you too. I think you need to start playing him against lefties. Yeah, there's a chance that it won't look great. I trust him a lot more than the other guys to get hits, especially now that Sam Haggerty's in the minors. I don't know, man. When Crawford is back, I guess Dylan Moore playing left field is fine against lefties. I'd rather have that pop and the ability to steal some bases. He gets his third. Luke Raley needs to be an everyday player, and right now I think he needs to be a middle of the order hitter. Right now I think that needs to happen. Anything else that I wanted to talk about here? Oh, I didn't bring up that Polanco and Garver missed yesterday. They missed today too. Uh-oh. The thing that really concerns me here is there's two things. Number one, let's start with Polanco. Hamstring issue has been a problem in the past. Hamstring, ankle, anything leg related has been an issue, unfortunately, with Polanco. And this isn't good. It's not good that a group that I still don't trust the depth of is playing super shorthanded. And then the Garver thing, if you want to look glass half full, well, it's not a recurring thing that sidelined him earlier in the year with the lower back. It's the higher back. The bad news is he now has two separate back injuries in the first 44 games. And a guy who has really struggled to stay on the field. I say really too much, but concerning. Very concerning. Not a group that should be playing shorthanded right now. But I don't know what you do. If you think they're going to be back in a couple of days, kind of tough to put them on the IL. Especially when you don't really trust the guys coming back. Now, if JP Crawford's ready to come back soon, maybe that's you put Polanco on the IL, and you call him up and you have Josh Rojas at second, yada, yada, yada. But this is tough. And speaking of tough, oh boy, all due respect to Kansas City, who I think if you watch them play this week or this 3-game set, close to half a week, you came away impressed. They're a good team. They're not a great team. The future is brighter than the present, but the present's not bad. They are absolutely a playoff contender. 100% a playoff contender. But the level of quality they're about to face over these next 6 games is this is going to be tough. You got 3 in Baltimore, you got 3 in New York, and you got 3 in Washington, who's scrappy, but a series that you should win. I don't know what your expectations should be for Baltimore and New York. Here's what I think your expectations should be, or at least these are what my expectations should be. By the way, I am wearing a Notre Dame shirt. Nobody likes them. I do. I think the expectation should be that they look the part against these teams. Now, you can't go 0-6. You can't really go 1-5 either. But if you go 2-4 and you're in the majority of the games and you look like a team that is competitive with these teams, I think you take it. I don't love consolation prizes, or I can't think of what the term that they always use. Moral victories. I don't love those either. But I'm just telling you right now, if they look like they can play with the Orioles and the Yankees, I think that's a win. On the road, I think that's a win. You should always win series at home, in my humble estimation. Any series that you play at home that you don't win, It's not realistic to win them all, but you should be disappointed when you don't win them. On the road against Baltimore and New York, the two best teams in the American League, I just want to see them look competitive, like they look like they belong. And if they can win one of these series, if they can win two, oh my gosh. But if they can win one of these series, if they can split that, they can have a 5-4 road trip coming up. 4-5 is good enough for me too. I think you have to be okay with that, especially with what the bullpen is doing right now, especially with the injuries to the lineup, especially. I'm okay with it. I think Molly wants to come up. Be right back. I could be wrong, but I think this is Molly's first appearance on Mile Way. Get this beautiful girl. She really misses her sister. I miss her sister too. She's going to be 13 in Halloween. She loves getting scratched. Anyway, good series win. Tough games coming up. Really would appreciate you hitting like and subscribe. Molly sure would too. I love this dog. Good win. Good win.